Happy Saturday, Line Golf Academy members and guests. Hope you're watching the Olympics. Let me know in the comments down below who you think's going to pull it off. I have my feelings, but I'm not going to spoil my Nostradamus skills. It's usually just guessing, but today we got some cool little videos to look at. Doug Sanders and Peter Allis. Now, these two swings next to each other are going to be really eye-opening for you to see that there's so many ways to strike a golf ball, and especially at the elite level, it doesn't really matter as long as you can repeat things. And we're going to look at these two swings and compare them and just show you how different they really are. So the reason we're watching this is so you don't fall in love with a certain style that doesn't work for you. And at the very end of the video, 1963 Shell's Wonderful Golf, Slammin' Sammy versus Jack Nicklaus. We're going to watch a few holes, so if you want to skip to the end, I'll leave a timestamp below. Or if you just want to watch this and say, that's enough for me, you don't have to stay till the end. Either way, I really like watching those old Shell's Wonderful World of Golf. But let's get started with... What's up, guys? Tony from the future. I went to upload that video and the PGA Tour declined everything, so I could either not upload it and never be viewed again or delete the Shell's Wonderful World of Golf. So I deleted the Shell's Wonderful World of Golf. So it's just the swing analysis. Sorry about that, but let's get to it. This one, and we're going to watch these swings. And actually, let's go to the back just so I can show you what each motion looks like. So we're just going to look at the downline first just to give you an idea. This is actually Peter Allis's longer motion, and it looks a little bit more like today. You can see that there's a lot of rotation with the body, and as he gets that club to that secondary plane line, we can see how tight things are. So from here to here, notice how he sets his wrist and his hands. A lot of that is turning, but also getting the right elbow tucked to the side was a thing of that time, and this is very Hogan-esque, where you want to get everything connected to the right side, drop down, tilt, and then release the hands. And we'll see this on the face on, but let's take a look at Doug Sanders. And Doug Sanders was notorious for being able to swing in a phone booth because everything was so tight. So look at the motion here, a lot of turn initially, and we see those hands staying nice and low. See the club staying at that lower plane line. The club goes right through the hand. So in my opinion, this is a really solid backswing, probably one of the best at the time, maybe one of the best of all time, just because look at that small little circle. You can place a circle around the club head and the hands to meet at one. That means things are truly rotating around the spine. And take a look at how far the arms go back. As soon as he gets there, and he is stuck on that lower plane line, that is it. That is his backswing. But now that we've seen that down the line, let's look at the face on. Let's look at the setups, and we can see how some things are similar based on the way they set up. And this is something I'm really trying to teach you as a viewer, to make sure your setup is correct for you. But we can start to look at some similarities specifically with these two gentlemen. We can see that they have a completely different motion with their arms and hands. So what they are all trying to do is stay truly connected to the center of their triangle. So the triangle is extended right where those shoulders are. Look how broad those shoulders are. And we draw them straight down to where the hands are. So there's that nice centeredness. And the same thing on the right side. So we can see how everything is centered. Now, if you take a look at some modern day players, and I see a lot of amateurs do this, is they hear about, I've got to get my hands to press the club head into the ground. I got to get my hands forward, hands forward, hands forward. And I keep seeing this where they strengthen their grip and they push the grip ahead of the club head at the starting point. Now, the problem is you have created another angle that you have to carry over, or you have to compensate your body to address that impact, because the club head will always find the center of your spine at impact, always, unless you're able to manipulate your body. And if you look at the best in the world, they can definitely do that. They can manipulate the body. So if you take a look at where that club head is, it goes right through the hands and fairly close to that center. Club head right through the hands, and it's fairly close to that center. So both professionals, even though they're different, their body has realized that that club head and their hands have to stay connected to the center of their chest to make their golf swing work. And the rest of the motion comes down to their grip placements, and then obviously where the plane work is based on their personal preferences. And nobody's alike, right? So just keep that in mind. Now, if we take a look at the first motion back, we can see, look at that right. What we're going to do too is let's draw a right brace line, because this is a swing of that time where a lot of these good golfers would just pivot around that right brace line. So obviously, look at how wide that stance is. So we take a look as we take that club back. He stays fairly connected till about here. That's where the club is parallel to the ground. We can see the right arm kind of pulling back already because he gets that right elbow tucked into his side of his body. So here's where the rotation keeps going with his shoulders. And take a look at this top position. So this is where you know you are pretty connected with your right elbow to your body, because your club shaft will go through your head. So what we're looking for is, let's do this in red. See how that club shaft is going just through his head. Now, the more connected your right elbow becomes to your body, the lower that's going to sit. So I've seen some people where they get that club head to, cut right through their head because their right elbow is too stuck to their side. Now, there's some positives and negatives to that. Positives is, hey, you've taken the arms out of play. But the negative to that is you better have the ability to turn and tilt to keep your arm speed in relation to your chest without the real estate to do so. And if we take a look at the right side now, I think we're going to switch it up here. We go to the right side and take a look at this takeaway. We can see, look how wider that is. There's slightly more tilt, and we can see some real estate happening in between his elbows here. So that's a horrible circle. Let's redraw that. So between the elbows here, you can see that real estate, and that is just showing you that he is holding his setup position and he's just tilting and turning at the same time, and that helps him keep those hands on that lower plane line. And we saw the club head and the hand, boom, pass each other and that small circle, and that's what gives it the ability to do that. And we can see here, look at it, it's wide, it's outside, he is turning, and right about here, he stops his turn. And we can see now his arm is also flat. Remember how flat it was from down the line? But it's nowhere near his head, so he has less time. So if we're going to try and keep those lines up, or the triangles up. So let's just draw in red here, and let's look at where his club shaft is. And we can kind of see there. Okay, so there's a club shaft. So the hands are still lower and they're connected to the chest. Here they're slightly higher and they're more connected to the chest, but they're as high as the right shoulder. So what we'll see is the left side, we'll see a lot more hand manipulation going through impact. The right side, we see a full body turn. The hands don't really have to manipulate as much because they're still connected to the chest. And I want you to think about this like a Ferris wheel. If the motor of the Ferris wheel is the inside and your carriage is the outside, which is your hands, as you turn, the hand speed is going to keep up with the turn of the chest. You don't want to be in a Ferris wheel where you're turning and all of a sudden, whoop, the hands have to catch up. You'll fly right out the Ferris wheel. So keep that in mind. Let's take a look let's redraw that because that went a little bit longer. So there it is there. And dinosaur computer. So let's take a look at that motion on the first move down. We leave the triangles there to see how they arrive at their positions. So we see there's that right elbow is stuck to the right side, and notice where the shoulders have to tilt down, right? Because when they're stuck to the right side, you have to change the path of your hands somehow. The real only way to do that is to get some tilting. And the more you tilt, the hands move towards your left side. You can turn and get them to move to the left side, but when you turn, the escape pattern of your hands are going to be much lower. When you tilt, the escape patterns of your hands will be higher. Now keep that in mind when you're out there taking a golf swing. And you can take a look, now comes the hands. So the hands now have to pull back in front of the chest. So we see the upper body falling back. The tilt has been established. He strikes the golf ball, and take a look at his triangle now. Let's redraw this if we can do our good job here. The shoulders have tilted, hands are out in front, and right there. So we see as he strikes it, boom, notice there's the release of the hands. And just past impact, we will see where they catch up to the center of the chest. So there they caught up to the center of the chest. Let's take a look at the right side, and here we go. So watch this move. Lower body's going to be much more stable because he hasn't enacted a lot of turn. But now look at the rotation. So the upper body can turn more, doesn't have to tilt as much because his arm path is straighter because they're not sucked back like we saw on the left side. As he strikes the golf ball, look at the hands. The hands are pressing, but they're pressing naturally. So we don't see an exaggerated tilt going on here. We see that the hands have moved slightly ahead of where they were, and there's the forward pressing. So they both got to forward presses, but look at this forward press on the left side. Look how much tilt there is back versus that forward press is not as much tilt back. And what we're talking about with the tilting is I know there's so many lines here, forgive me, but let's look at one. We're going to draw this in blue. So the tilt back, that's basically where his spine angle was at impact versus this tilt, the spine angle is not as much. So keep your arms tucked to your right side, you better tilt. If your arms can free up a little bit and be in front of your chest, you don't have to tilt as much. So which one do you think is going to be better for your body? The one on the left side or the one on the right side? I'm guessing the one on the left side. The club didn't travel as much. The arms are more in front of the chest. You don't have to tilt as much. You still forward press. He's actually forward pressing a little bit more efficiently, because if you look at the motion of the hands on the left side, the hands are traveling much higher. So you better carry this angle down further back here, or else you're going to hit the dirt. Where this one, the arms are traveling higher, but they're closer to the golf ball. See where the golf ball was? So if you release a little too soon, you can start to get away with it more. But in other words, I want you to swing like the one on the right. Don't swing like the one on the left. If you have to choose one of these for, us everyday golfers that, I shouldn't say everyday, for us average golfers that can play maybe once a week if we're lucky. I've only played probably 6 or 7 times a year, so keep that in mind. But I want to swing like the guy on the right because it makes it easier. So I hope that helps you. But now let's move on to watch some Shell's Wonderful World of Golf. Jack Nicklaus slamming Sammy Snead. If you do like this, hit that like, share, and subscribe. If you're taking off right now, have a good day. Enjoy your golf. Enjoy your weekend. But if you're going to stick with us, let's get going. Let's watch some good golf back in the day.